Thank you, Matt. So, hi, I'm Maartje. My common name is Maartje, and my X519v3 extensions are developer, community leader, and train lover. This actually has been tweeted to me today, and I liked it so much I wanted to be my slides. So, I'm going to talk to you about cert-manager v1.0, which we named a seal of trust, because we're now putting a seal of trust of 3 years of cert-manager development by now calling everything stable. But while cert-manager v1.0 is mostly a stability release, we also have 3 focus areas. One of the focus areas is making cert-manager future-proof, making sure that your cert-manager installation still works in the next version of Kubernetes, and making sure that you can rely upon cert-manager. We're also making cert-manager more user-friendly, and we wanted to show some extra love to ACME, because this is still the most used use case for cert-manager. Let's talk about future-proofing cert-manager. The biggest change in cert-manager 1.0, which you may have seen, is the v1 API. The v1 API is our first stable API, which we will promise stability for the years to come. The v1 API is a graduation of the v1 Alpha 2 API, which is widely used, and the v1 Beta 1 API, which was introduced in last version. The v1 Beta 1 API introduced a lot of improvements documentation-wise about the API. We reviewed a lot of comments in there and a lot of documentation on our website and in kubectl explain. If you don't know it yet, you can do kubectl explain and then certificate, and you will get all certificate fields as cert-manager offers. v1 Beta 1 also brought a few improvements in renaming some fields to be more clear to the user what they do. We took all this awesomeness of v1 Beta 1 and put it inside v1. v1 added one tiny change to v1 Beta 1, and then we dropped the term sen. Because now with the common name being deprecated, we found that the alternative names are now the main star of a certificate. So this is what a certificate now looks like. API version cert-manager.io/v1. Looks good, doesn't it? So as always, your kind is a certificate. And this is a certificate for example.com, which we have a subject field, which is nicely organized. What's new is our private keys. So our private key values are now in a separate struct inside the certificate, so you know which value is specifically applied to the private key. And we also have DNS names, IP addresses, which are now nicely named. So how do you upgrade to this v1 API? Well, if you use Kubernetes 1.16 and above, you just upgrade cert-manager. Cert-manager will take care of all the migration for you. You can even still submit all the manifests that you have lying around. cert-manager will convert them around for you. If you use Kubernetes 1.15 and below, really, we advise to just upgrade to Kubernetes 1.16, because then you can use this conversion mechanism and you will be running a supported version of Kubernetes. If you, for some reason, cannot upgrade, no worries, cert-manager will support you back to Kubernetes 1.11. However, there is some migration path which you have to follow, but we created an easy tool for that in a kubectl plugin, which is called Convert. So, talking about user-friendliness, we, a few versions ago, introduced a kubectl plugin. If you haven't checked it out, go install it. So this allows you to do kubectl cert-manager and configure your cert-manager resources. We now added a status command. So you can now do kubectl cert-manager status certificate and a certificate name. This will then give you all that cert-manager knows about the certificate. So this is now the first all-in-one command to help you with troubleshooting. If there is any issue in any step of the process, this command will show you. More user-friendly stuff. We improved our logging. So cert-manager is now built on the clock v2 library, which is the same logging library that's used in Kubernetes 1.19. If your logging tooling can parse anything like kubelets, API service, etc., you can now use the same exact tooling to parse the cert-manager logs. While doing this, we also reviewed every single log line in the cert-manager codebase to make sure it's up to date, it's clear, and it has the right log level. By doing this, we ended up with 5 log levels. You can now choose, to your own taste, which log level you want cert-manager to run on, from showing only errors to show everything that's going on inside the cluster. And lastly, we love ACME. And by showing our love, we added 2 new things. The first thing is the disable account key generation function. If you set this to true, you disable the cert-manager functionality that will automatically ghost create a new ACME account for you. Why do you need this? Well, if you have a large deployment of ACME certificates like the talk about render later today, you probably have an account that can bypass rate limits. This now allows you to very easily install accounts everywhere and make sure you don't make mistakes. If the account is not valid, cert-manager will now tell you and not go try to fix it. So this is an extra safeguard for running large ACME deployments with cert-manager. The next thing we added is the preferred chain function. You may or may not know that Let's Encrypt is changing over from cross-signing with IdenTrust to their own root certificate authority, the ISRG root. For that, ACME now supports issuing certificates from multiple chains. And then cert-manager can now just pick a chain for you. So this is a field on the issuer which you can now specify which chain you want your certificates to come from. If you want to keep using the IdenTrust root as long as it's available, you can do so by setting the preferred chain to the IdenTrust root. If you today want to use the new root CA, you can use the same exact feature to do that. This feature is already added to Certbot, and we implemented our behavior analog to that, so it's easy for users. So that's everything what's new in cert-manager v1.0. I thank you for coming to my presentation, and stick around because the next one up is Josh. In 4 minutes he will be talking to you about service meshes, and he might have some exciting news.